Okay. Hi, my name is Michael Drake. I am the Assistant State Engineer over at Adjudication. This is a public meeting regarding the West Big Cottonwood subdivision of the proposed determination meeting. So this is part of the Utah Lake Jordan River water right adjudication. This is a process that started several years ago, and I'll go into more detail on that. We recently published the proposed determination, which is a pretty important benchmark in the completion of an adjudication. Again, I'll go in more detail on all of this, but I just wanted to lay that out there so you know what you're attending and what the purpose of this public meeting is. So let's see, let's get the slides going there. All right, so our agenda for today is we're gonna do a quick overview of the adjudication process, and then we'll talk about the proposed determination and what's in the proposed determination. We'll also look at the hydrographic survey maps, which are a part of, they're prepared and published jointly with the proposed determination. And we'll talk about how to access both of those. You've hopefully all received a notice that's what prompted your attendance at this public meeting, and that gives you instructions on how to access both as well. But we can cover that. We're also going to give you an opportunity to ask questions. If you're not comfortable doing that in this format, you can do so by emailing. You should see an email address on your screen right now. We monitor that email address is forwarded to me, and so I get that. I may have other staff members also respond to that, but you're welcome to provide or ask any questions you might have using that. We'll go through this recorded portion of the public meeting. You know, just due to the format of this electronic meeting, it is easier if we just kind of go through it. I'll answer as many questions hopefully as I can through the course of my presentation. And then we can kind of just go open forum after that. If you have a question about your specific water right, we can address that. So that's kind of it. As I noted, this meeting is recorded. It's being recorded. We will make this meeting available on our website. There's a meeting link, and I could show that to you later. I think it's also listed on your notice. We also have a YouTube channel, which this will be hosted on as a record of our public meeting. Okay, so going on, what you see on your screen now is the adjudication process. We started this a while ago, and we've been following this process. This is a statutory process. It's defined in state law, and this is the process that lets us come in and evaluate the water rights in an area and recommend them to a court. The final thing that we're looking for is to get a decree, and that is kind of the gold standard of a water right. So let's fill this in with some dates, and we can talk about the process and how we got to where we are today. So this all started, this is a very long-running case. An adjudication is a type of a court case. You may recall that a couple of years ago there was a summons that was sent, and it is a scary-looking document, but that is part of what starts an adjudication. This adjudication has been running since 1944. It addresses the Salt Lake Valley, Utah County, Wasatch County, and up to the top of the Provo River. But this area specifically, we're talking about what we call the West Big Cottonwood area, and we have a map that shows this area that we can look at a little bit later on. So to start this process, back in February of 2018, a notice was sent out to, well, it was published in the paper, and then there was a summons that was sent to all of the property owners and all of the known water right holders in the area. And then we held a public meeting in February of 2018, and we discussed this process and what we would be doing. And then a notice to file claims was sent out shortly after that public meeting. And so what that meant is that all water right users, all water users in the area were required to submit what's called to submit a water user claim. Now, a water user, let's talk about that for a minute. Water users in this case don't mean someone that takes water like from a culinary or like a municipal system. For example, I live in Sandy. I get my water from Sandy City. My office came through and adjudicated our area, or began an adjudication in my area, and sent me the same notices that I imagine you guys got. Being a Sandy City water user, I didn't need to respond to that. But anyways, jumping back into this area, we then published a list of unclaimed rights, which is a list of all of the rights that we knew about prior to the adjudication, but for which no one claimed the water right. Those were published, and then there was a 90-day period to object. We held another public meeting, and then we sought from the court a decree that all of those rights, not all, only the rights on that list of unclaimed rights, that those rights were abandoned. Okay, and then we went through a final summons, and I know this is a very complicated process, but I'm bringing you up to where we are today. We then began a long process of claim investigation, and we evaluated all of the water rights in the area and made a list of recommendations. It's what we call a proposed determination, and that's where that brings us to today. So back on January 11th, we published a proposed determination of all of the water rights within the West Big Cottonwood subdivision. And that is the notice that I presume you received, and that's what we're meeting about today. There is a 90-day period to object to those recommendations. If you had a right that was described in that book, there's a 90-day period that you can object. We will then resolve those objections and then seek from the court a decree. So I can happy to take questions on that towards the end, but let's keep going because let's get into the meat of the presentation. This is the adjudication process. I know it can be a little confusing sometimes, but we're almost at the finish line on this one. So let's talk about the proposed determination. If you were to go and find it, or if you already have, you'll see that it has several different sections as described in the screen, but let's go right into it and talk about it. This is the title page. It has some pretty important information. It has the district court that has jurisdiction over this adjudication, which is the Third District Court in Utah. This is the general adjudication name and the civil number. Each subdivision has a civil number. If you were to file an objection to this proposed determination, you would need to reference that civil number. And it's listed a few different places. We also have a description of the hydrologic division and the subdivision name. In this case, it's the West Big Cottonwood Creek subdivision. And then we have the area and book numbers, 57, book 17. Okay, moving on, this is the notice to water users. This has some of the same information, like, oh, it looks like my box is a little misplaced. I've circled the judge in this case, which is Judge Scott, but the civil number is listed there as well, right above the judge's number. More importantly, on this page, we have instructions on filing an objection. If you wish to file an objection to this proposed determination, you need to file that with the Third District Court within that 90-day period. And this will describe it on how to file the objection, and it gives you the address of the Third District Court. Okay, moving on, this is the preamble. The preamble goes through it several pages, and it describes a lot of general information about water rights in the area. Sometimes there's some very specific information about the subdivision. This subdivision is fairly straightforward, and so there's really nothing of note that I wanted to cover in this. If we move on, this is the location map. This describes the area that we began adjudicating back in 2018, February 2018. Generally speaking, it's bounded by 39th South on the north and about 48th South on the south, or about Murray Holiday Road. And then on the west, it's bounded by Main Street with, there's a little jog in the boundary that bumps out to State Street. And then generally speaking, on the east, it's bounded by 13th East. So that's the area that we adjudicated. Okay, so as we get deeper into the proposed determination, we have what we call the priority schedule. This is a listing of all of the water rights in the proposed determination in order of priority date. In the state of Utah, water rights are distributed according to their priority dates. Older water rights are distributed first before more junior water rights are. And so you see that listing of all of the water rights. It actually goes on for several pages. We're only going to look at this first one. So what you see here is the water source. In this case, these are all of the underground wells in the area. You also see the priority date. I've circled the 1900 priority date for this specific water right. You also see flow rates or an annual volume. This is what we call the quantity of water for a water right. And it's described either by a flow rate or a volume, acre feet. Acre feet is kind of a goofy volume measurement that we use in water rights. You also see the water right number. In this area, all the water right numbers start with a 57 number. So 57 dash something. There's another 4 or 5 water right numbers after that. And then you also see the owner of record. One thing to note is that the owner of record may not be the person that's currently using the water right. The state engineer's office is not the office of record for ownership. The county recorders are. And so very often we have not been provided with the most recent title information. And so if you have a situation where your water right is not listed in your name, or you know that it needs to be in a different name, we can help you with the process to update title. So let us know, we can walk you through that. The form that you'll need to complete is called a report of conveyance, or an ROC. We being the good government agency we are, we have good acronyms. So we call that our ROC, report of conveyance. All right, moving on. This is a fairly typical page in the proposed determination. And what you see here, let's go through it and describe each part. You'll see the water right number repeated here. Again, this is a 57 number, 57 dash, in this case, 3 digits, 503. You'll also see the owner of record described here. Sometimes there are several owners, and in the case of several owners, we may describe the ownership interest, how the water right is split between those various owners. You'll also see the type of right. There's different types of right. In this case, it's an application to appropriate. And then you'll see the quantity of water. Again, this is described either in a flow rate or a volume, CFS, cubic feet per second, or acre feet. You'll also see the priority date and the source described here. The next big piece of information you'll see is what we call the point of diversion. This is where the water user takes water from the natural environment, whether that's from a well or perhaps a diversion on a creek or a river. In this case, we're looking at a well, and it's a 2-inch well, and it's 86 feet deep. Next, you'll see information about the beneficial uses of water. And these are just all described in what we call water use group numbers. And each water use group describes its uses underneath it. All right, this is the nature of beneficial use. In this case, this water right has irrigation and domestic uses. And each use also has a period of use described. In this case, irrigation is only beneficial from April 1st to October 31st. And so that's what this right allows. And then we have to quantify that right. And so we have the amount of irrigation that can happen. In this case, that's described as acres. So this water right can irrigate 0.27 acres of land. An additional piece of information that's relevant on some rights, not necessarily on this, is the group total. If you have a water right that this number differs, we can and you have questions about that, we can answer those questions, but that's not really relevant on this one. This water right can irrigate 0.27 acres of land. And then let's see, this water right is also approved for a domestic use, so connecting a house effectively. The next piece of information that's part of a water use group is the place of use. And place of use is described as a section, township, and range. This is the public land survey system. And that's further broken into each section of land is broken into quarter sections. And then the place of use of each water right is identified within those quarter sections. And then finally, within that, we identify how much irrigation is happening within that quarter section. And then some water rights have a general comment that describes some additional information. This varies. Some of the notes are similar between water rights, but some have some very specific information about the water right. So moving on, the proposed determination also has a listing of forfeited rights. These are rights that during the course of our evaluation, we went through and identified that they were not in use anymore. In the state of Utah, a water right needs to be used, and if a water user ceases to use a water right within 7 years, then that water right is subject to forfeiture. In the adjudication, we evaluate water rights that are not used, and if they haven't been used for 7 consecutive years, then we will recommend them to be forfeited to the court. And that very similar information, water right number is described, the name of the owner of record is identified, and then the points of diversion and source are identified in this section. We also have rights that are described as invalid. And these are rights that are not established according to state statute. And if you have a right on this, that's probably a little confusing, and we're happy to discuss this with you if this was one of your rights. But these rights are described similarly with a water right number, the name of the owner of record, and the points of diversion and source. Okay, and then finally at the very end, we have an alphabetic index. This is a very quick and easy way to work your way through the proposed determination. I know it's a very long document, or at least it can be. And so this is a quick way to search a name or water right number and find the location of that number in the book. And again, follows the same format as before. The owner of record is identified, the point of diversion source, the water right number, and then the page on which that water right is mentioned in the proposed determination. Okay, jointly with the proposed determination, we published a hydrographic survey map. And that is a map of all of the work that we've done over the last few years. And generally speaking, on this map, you'll see a north arrow scale and scale bar. You'll also see a map legend. It's notable that all of the irrigated areas are described according to their water use group. And if I could zoom in here, which I can't do, you'll see that each of those blocks has water right numbers beside it. And so you can find your water right number on one of the various 17 pages of hydrographic survey maps. This mapping will also be integrated into our online mapping software. And then you have the general map location. And so that helps you find what map number you might be on. Okay, let's talk about accessing the proposed determination. We sent out a notice of this proposed determination to all of the water right owners that were listed on the records of the state engineer. And we also sent it to all of the claimants who submitted claims in this adjudication. And we also sent it to the registered agents for corporate entities owning water rights in this area. And we also served notice on councils of record who filed an appearance in the court. So that's who was all included in this notification, the public mailing that we did. Let's talk about accessing the proposed determination. That the proposed determination can be accessed at one of these links. And those links, I believe, were provided in your notice. But if you need to, you can write those down now and access that and download it. They can also be printed at the file, or we can print a hard copy for you for a nominal fee, and they're also filed with the district court. And that's, let's see, and then the hydrographic survey map can be accessed at that link, and hard copies can be viewed in our office. And that kind of brings us to the end of the defined presentation. If you have questions, we're happy to take them now. If you'd like to talk with us later, you can contact me there. My information is provided there. Again, Michael Drake, that's my name, and my phone number and my email address. I neglected to identify that we also have another staff member that has joined us, and his name is Ryan Broadbent. And his contact information is also provided there, and you're welcome to contact him as well. We also have our general adjudication line. If you can't get hold of either one of us, you can call that number, and someone will be available to answer your question. And so with that, we can go ahead and take questions. You can email questions there if you'd like. I'll leave this up, and let's see. It looks like we've got a couple questions here. I'll go with let's see. It's Christopher. Let's see. Let me see the full name. Christopher Forbush. We can go ahead and take your question.
Yeah, correct. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Michael. I do have a quick question. So I have a client, a trust that has a water right, and you showed that as you're going through kind of an example of all the information, the name of the owner, the type of right, the application number, the uses, and that sort of thing, in your comments section, the example that you showed plus what I found for this particular client are the same. The comment says, the authorized use of water is described herein. However, the water user is using this right for an unauthorized use.
Yeah.
A change application has not been filed to permit this use. Yeah. So I'm wondering if, how do we learn what this particular unauthorized use is? And in this case, would this be something we should object to? Because it doesn't look like it's saying that this water right is going to be forfeit, or can you kind of walk me through what?
Yeah. No, what's this process? That's a good question. So, according to case law, water right case law, illegal or unauthorized use of water rights can, under some cases, perpetuate a water right. So I talked a little bit about forfeiture earlier, how if you haven't used a water right for 7 years, it is subject to forfeiture.
Yes.
There's case law that says that even if you're using a water right illegally, it might be perpetuating the water right. And so we've taken as a policy that we're going to look at the water right, and let's say, for example, the water right was approved for only irrigation, and we go out and we find that it's being used for stock watering and domestic uses. But the water right is being used to the full extent. We will recognize that in the proposed determination and recognize the right perhaps for its full beneficial use, but note that a change application needs to be filed to conform to state law, which is that any change in use needs to be made by application to the state engineer. So that's basically what that note is about, is that it appears from our review that a change of some sort was made from what was authorized previously, and a change hasn't been filed. However, we're choosing to recognize as much water as we can see in use to the benefit of the water user, but we're noting that a change should be filed to bring that use into conformance with the law.
Okay, so do you have, for I guess, each of these rights as you've gone through, do you have more information on what they've
Yes.
identified as being the unauthorized use?
Yeah, so
'Cause-
if you search the water right number, you'll see a memo to the file that our staff members did that should detail what was authorized. Well, you can see that from our database. We have a very good database that details what the right is authorized for, and then what we found when we evaluated it. And then that should be, you should be able to see the comparison between the two and see what needs to be requested in the change application.
Okay, I'd like to know where that's at, because in the documentation that I
Right.
saw, I didn't see any sort of attached memos or anything.
Let me see if that, all right, I'm gonna have to change my sharing here. And I'll walk you through doing that. You happen to know the water right number?
Yeah, this one is 57-1014.
Let me slow down. I know West Water Right employees, we kind of operate on warp speed in this thing. All right, so if you go to waterrights.utah.gov, you'll find this. This is our main web page. And if you click, you should see my cursor. There's a search button up here. Click that, and then you come to the top search method, which is water right number. Again, could you tell me that water right number?
Yes, it's 57-1014.
1014. Okay. Someone joining. Okay. All right. So so this is the database entry for this water right number, and you can see as you scroll down, you should see right here what the water uses are, and you can see that this is authorized for a 1/4 acre of irrigation, 10 animals, stock watering of 10 animals, and 1 house. Okay. So
Okay.
now let's go over and up at the top here, you can see a Scan Documents tab. If you click on this, you have access to everything that's on our paper file here at the division. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a memo to the file that was, there's a few of them, but the one that I'm going to direct you to in your case is the one that was put on file in 2018, March of 2018. And this document should walk you through what was authorized and what we saw. It looks like, I'm reading it, it looks like we found only irrigation and no domestic and no stock watering. And so what we've done is recognize the full extent of the water right to accommodate the change that could be filed on those historic uses, the 1/4 acre of irrigation, the 10 animals, and the house domestic use, to accommodate a change that will let more irrigation happen under this right. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So what then would be the next process for this?
Okay.
To file I guess, change of use? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a change application. Yep.
Change application.
And probably the best thing on this is, let's go back to the main web page. The forms are right here underneath the search bar. But I would it's possible that the easiest way to do this would be to contact our public inquiry staff, and you could do that by calling this number down at the bottom, which is and I'll type this into the chat here: 801-538-7240. That is our main phone number. And you can contact one of our public inquiry staff and they can help you prepare the change application. If you'd like to do it yourself, you can click on this applications and forms. The change application form is listed right here in the middle, and you would work your way through that form and submit that to our office.
Okay. Is there some sort of a deadline? Does this need to be done within that 90 days, or can this be done beyond that?
Yeah. No, you have time on this. The adjudication section is kind of operating separately from the rest of the division. There's no negative consequence from taking a little bit of time to get through the adjudication and then deal with this later.
Okay. But at this point, just based on what I've seen and what you've explained, the water right's present. It's just that it's been used for something else. So there needs to be a change. Need to apply for a change to be recognized. But none of this is saying that this, individual or the owner is going to forfeit this right if they don't get the change done, the change application sent in, really quickly.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. I appreciate it. Thank you for that information.
No problem. Okay, I think we had Mickey D, or who was?
Yeah, Mickey Durrell.
Okay.
Thanks for taking my question. I was concerned because when I was looking through this long document that you were just displaying on the screen, when I was looking up my name for my well, I don't see my name listed nor my well number, the water right for the well that's currently on my property. So if my well number is not showing up, or the water right for that well is not showing up on this list, is that a concern?
We'll probably need to look at your case specifically. Do you know what the water right number was?
Yeah, the old water right number was 57-3083.
Okay. Okay, let's look at this water right. So it looks like it is being recognized, but it's listed under this Cami Quayle and Scott Quayle name. Is that
Oh, yeah, because we split. So we share a well, and then I have another water right. I guess it's a different number now. So
Okay.
I'll have to look that one up. But why are those, they're not even are they showing up on this document?
There is a water right that was split off of this.
Yeah.
Which is 5710.
Yes, that's mine. Right. That's mine.
That's yours. Okay.
Yeah.
And so is this the right name?
Yeah, that's Family Durrell Trust. Yeah.
Okay. It looks like you filed a change application. So I think when you filed that change application in 2019, you split the water right off by,
right.
It's called segregation.
We wanted to separate because there's two different properties sharing that well, and we wanted to separate the water rights to two separate water rights so there's no confusion when somebody sells the property and the well, so it just makes it cleaner.
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like this is the water right you'll want to look at.
Which is it? 57?
57-10803.
Okay. All right.
So that's now water right numbers. These numbers represent like file jackets. I'll show you one of them. This is a file jacket number, and they each have these numbers, and so each one of these water rights has one of these in her office. All that number means is that you got your own folder. That's basically it.
Okay, but that number is not on this other document you just showed us of underground water wells. So do I need to be concerned?
Well, it should be listed. Let me pull up the proposed determination, and we'll just do a real quick search. 57-10803.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Oh, you are actually not in this book. That's why.
I'm not in that book?
You're in the holiday book that we published back in December.
Oh, I got a letter for this meeting tonight, but I don't. Oh. Okay, so I'm in the wrong meeting.
Well, that's okay. A lot of the same information applies. We are actually in the objection period on that proposed determination as well. And so if there's something that you disagree with, then you have until, what is it? It's maybe another couple of weeks that you can object.
As long as I'm somewhere, then I'm happy. I was just concerned I wasn't in here. So I was at the wrong meeting, and I know why I'm in here for another reason. And I have another right that I tried to buy during this process and I couldn't buy it. I tried to get another water right to get in, to bring my rights for my whole property up to snuff. But that water right was rejected. And so I couldn't buy it. And that forfeited number is in here. And that makes sense to me because I could never purchase it all the way. I tried to get it, but it didn't go through. So, and that came from this other book, apparently.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's, I'm glad to have you because it's, I mean, it's good information anyway around. It's about
Right. Yeah.
Each of these books is a little different, but the process is the same.
Once the adjudication process is finalized, the decree happens, well, then it'd be a good time to look for water rights to purchase, because then I'll know what's legal and what's not legal.
Yes, yeah. That's one of the massive benefits and why the legislature is investing in this process so much is to evaluate all of these water rights so that we know which ones are good and which ones are not, because that is a major problem, is it's hard to know.
Right. Yeah, like I was trying to buy something that I didn't know was illegal. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Gail Bowling, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much. So we have a water right, and we got our determination is that we also need to file a change application. And I'd heard, thank you for answering Mr. Forbish's question. That was really helpful. But my question is regarding the objection process. Isn't that a little bit different? And we have 90 days to file an objection. How does that relate to the change application deadline?
It doesn't relate. I think what I would say, well, I mean, seek legal advice if you feel like you need to, but I'll give you what I would advise you to do, and that is split kind of this into two pieces, right? And so there's the piece that you should evaluate what we recommended, and I feel like we've approached every water right fairly and accurately represented the water right, and recognizing these illegal uses is one of the ways we try and make sure that we recognize as much water as possible for people that are using water, even if they're using it in an unauthorized way. However, so I would approach it as, did we make a fair evaluation of your right? That's the one thing. And then if you're one of those rights that had that tag, that note put on it, that basically saying you need to file a change application, that's a separate process from the adjudication. And so you can kind of compartmentalize that decision into two pieces. First off, is the right evaluated fairly? That's what you need to do in the next 90 days, is decide, did we do it right? Do you agree with our assessment? And then you can begin the change application process, file a change application. Another office in our division will review that. It's not mine, actually, and make a determination on that. And that has its own entire process to evaluate that change application. Does that help? I mean, I hope that idea of, there's kind of two decisions you need, two kind of parallel processes that we need to do. One is, do you think we gave you a fair evaluation of your water right? Number two is, let's start this change application process at some point. But the change application process is not part of the adjudication. You don't need to do it in the next 90 days.
May I ask about the first part of that analysis that you just laid out? I don't know if I have enough information to know if the water right has been evaluated fairly or not. So I would think that to potentially preserve our rights, we should possibly consider filing an objection. And that has to be filed in the Third District Court within 90 days. Is that correct?
Yeah. Now, would it help you? Would you want to look at your water right now, and I could walk you through our recommendation?
You could. It's a pretty complicated situation. Somebody has tried to do title research a title company tried to do title research on our right, and I don't think it's been definitively established.
Okay.
So I think it's a complicated situation. That's why I'm wondering if we need to go forward with the objection process while we try to get this sorted out, just to preserve our position.
Some do for that reason, and it's not, it's not a foreign idea to the adjudication process. But we're happy to walk through where we are. I know the process has been going on for a couple of years, but this is all very fresh in our mind. We did a very intensive review leading up to this publishing, and so but that being said, we're happy to review it and discuss it with you. At this point, if there is something that we need to change, then an objection is the way to do it. And so I would encourage you to file that objection if there's something that's amiss. But and then at that point, we have a couple attorneys from the Attorney General's office that can help us work through that, because it does. We're at the point this does shift it into the legal environment, so we have attorneys involved that. Since it's filed with the court to help us through that process.
And those attorneys will be representing the Division of Water Rights.
Yes.
So we would need to hire private counsel going forward.
If you felt that was necessary, definitely, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I love this name, Lollipop Girls Nancy. Do you have a question? You're muted.
Yeah, hey, this is her husband, Greg. We're with a friend, Imelda Massey. Her husband passed away in 2018, and the first thing she knew was this letter about this meeting. We can't find their name on a list anywhere. If we gave you the address, could you tell us what our next step is?
Yeah, let me get to where I can do an address search.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Tell them, Nance, what it is. 4270 Normandy Lane. Right? Yeah, unfortunately, Hal passed away in fall of 18. And Imelda doesn't know where his files are on the water.
Okay, it's looking, do you see on my screen?
Yes.
Does that look like the property?
Is that east on the left side?
Right here, there's an X over the top of the house.
Yeah, that does look like, yeah, that does. Mm-hmm.
Zoom out a little bit, sorry. Yeah, I even spelled it. Hey, good job on whoever
Good job for you.
I didn't even spell it right and it figured it out. Awesome. All right, so good thing here is I see there's a water right number in the backyard. And
yes.
So I opened that and it looks like we did recognize this water right. It is under the name Clarence C. Peterson. So I'm guessing maybe it needs to be updated. The title needs to be updated.
Yeah, and they bought from a, what was the name of it?
She said, Imelda said she bought it from a Kathy Sittner with a S.
So
in 1986, they bought from this Kathy Sittner. So
it goes back quite a ways.
Okay, so it looks like we got a claim in 2018. So if you remember, we sent out, after that first public meeting, we sent out a notice to file claims.
Yeah.
And it looks like Harold Massey,
yes,
Deborah Thomas, and Hal Massey all returned claims on this water right.
What was the middle name?
Deborah, Harold, and Hal Massey.
Okay.
Is that your daughter? No, his first daughters.
And so we evaluated this water right, and we found what you'll see right here. That's what we found. We found a well.
Yes.
And then we found this irrigation happening there. And so that's what we recommended in the proposed determination.
Oh, super. Yeah. And it's basically a flowing well.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if that matches what you know of the property, then it sounds like we're probably good.
Yeah.
I could turn to the proposed determination. Here's that entry right here. And it looks like we recognized a tenth of an acre of irrigation on this.
Oh, very good. Yeah, and she doesn't water all of that. A little of the lawn and a couple of trees and some grow boxes. So that's perfect. And nothing on the house. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, we didn't find any domestic use, and so we
Yeah.
didn't include that.
So does she not need to do anything?
If it represents it, then I would say no, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the easiest thing that's happened to us in the last 10 years.
Well, good.
So super. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Anything else? Well, we can call up those numbers if we have further questions.
Yeah, if you have more questions, yeah, feel free to do that.
Yeah. And are there fees, annual fees on this water?
Oh, this is your water. This is their water. The only thing I would say is it looks like the name is not right, so you probably need to do a title update.
Oh, okay.
How do we do that?
So that's by filing that report of conveyance. If you're unsure of how to proceed, probably the best thing to do would be to go to a title company and say, I need to update title to water right 57-5553.
Okay.
Perfect.
Very good.
Okay,
Michael, thank you so much.
no problem. Have a good day.
Yeah.
All right, I see a hand up from Donald Kent.
Yes, that's me.
Okay,
I have property on 566 East Compton Court, Murray.
okay. 566. Oh, whoops, hold it. Five. Say that again.
566 East Compton Court, COMPTONCOURT.
Okay, in Murray. Okay. All right, so this one I'm not seeing a water right.
So we had got a letter saying it had been approved.
Okay. Oh, wait, I guess maybe it could be this.
Yeah, it's piped away quite a ways.
Oh, okay.
Mike, it is that one up in the corner. I kind of remember looking at Donald's right here.
It's 57-2185. Top
Oh,
left.
2185. All right, all right, so 57 what again? 2185?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, there it is. I don't know. I'm blind. I'm sorry. There it is.
That whole property used to be a trout feeding farm and stuff, and there was three artesian wells on it.
Okay, so what is your question about this one?
So, has it been transferred to my name or?
So I show the name William and Nyla and Show. Or Shao.
Shall. But they said that's supposed to go with the property, and we own the property for
Okay.
about 23 years now.
Okay, so that sounds like you're in the same ballpark or the same court. You need to file that report of conveyance and get it updated into your name. Let's look at the file and see who claimed it in the adjudication. Where is the water user claim? Because that was unsigned. That's funny. I'll have to look at this one a little bit deeper. But regardless, looking at this now, it just looks like we need to, looking at a couple of other things, apologies here. It just looks like you need to, no one's updated title on this since I think it was originally founded. Let's see who filed for this originally. Oh man, it's so slow, my computer, I apologize. Well, we'll let that work for a little bit. So it's looking to me like, oh, there is a warranty deed. It may have, title may have been updated back in the 70s, but that was it. So nothing since then. So I think you're just in the same boat as everyone else. You need to file a report of conveyance. And if you're confused about that, like I say, I would go to a title company and say, I need to update title to water right 572185. Can you help me?
Okay. Then the next thing is property is 4555 South 6th East. Which again, it's a well. It used to be the main well for their orchards and stuff, and it's on our property now when we bought it.
Okay. What was that? What was the east again?
6th East, 455.
Oh, 455 South. That that's up in Salt Lake City.
No, 4555.
Oh, sorry.
555.
Triple fives. Okay. We'll try that again. Okay. And it's looking like I'm seeing this water right 577843. Do we think that is the water right number?
That's correct.
Okay. And so again, this one's in the name of William Ford and Reed Workman. And if that's not correct, then that might be something where we need to update title on that as well. All right, so I see your claim right here. Do you see this right? This claim?
That's
Looks like
correct.
this was you, right?
Yeah, Landon.
So
It's going to be eventually in just Landon's name because he now is sole owner of that property.
okay. Okay. Yeah, so same thing here. A report of conveyance needs to be submitted to update title into your name.
And that I need just to get a title insurance company or?
A title company and tell them, yeah, I need someone, need you to prepare a report of conveyance.
Okay.
An attorney could do it too, a surveyor, an engineer, but a lot of people just go and have, there's title companies that know and understand how to do this. And so,
Okay. So, but my name and Landon's name are on this one, but my name and Diane is not on the first one.
no, they're not on either. See this kind of gets to the point that we're not the office of record. Even though you claimed the right when we send out the notice to file claims, that does not update title.
Okay.
You still need to bring in deeds that demonstrate that you are the owner. And that's why I say you need to go to a title company. So you actually need to do it on both water rights.
Okay. And the other one, when they gave us the paperwork, they said, had a right to chase the water because it's up higher in the Hyesta Estates group where the well originates, and it's piped down on a 3-inch pipe to my property.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. That's what you'll do with the title company or an attorney or an engineer is they'll gather those deeds and prepare that report of conveyance and demonstrate to us that you're the owner, and then we'll update title.
And back to the first property was my my name and Landon was on this one, is my name and Diana Cooley on the other one as a file.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that was 572185.
2185, yeah. Okay. Does that answer your questions then?
If you scroll up, is our name down there as filing on the year 18?
I didn't see it on this one. That's what's confusing me a little bit. And it makes me think that somewhere there's a claim and I'm just not seeing it. Because that's something we check. So I'd have to do a deeper dive on this one and try and figure out where the water user claim is.
Yeah, they came out and looked at our use and took pictures of the ground portal and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not expressing any concern or doubt about it. I think it's more than likely just that our electronic file is incomplete. If I went and pulled this paper file, I would probably find your claim in there.
Okay, and is there a tick time on this, or?
Well, no. So as far as updating title, no. I mean, it's in your best interest because you won't receive any mail or any notification regarding this water right unless you update title and get it in your name.
Okay.
And so it's important to do that. It's kind of the duty of every water user to update title whenever it changes.
So we just take our individual property titles in, showing proof of ownership of that property, attach the water right user number to it, and ask for a change in.
It could be more complex than that. The title company or the attorney might need to, they're going to need to construct a chain of title from you back to whoever is currently listed as owner. So in this case, the Shows. And so they're going to have to show how it, and so that could be multiple different owners in some cases. And so it could be complex.
Would the subdivision developer have done anything with that? Because they had them all staked out and says, these are yours and yours, and it goes with the property and whatnot.
I don't know. And that's why I'm saying you're probably going to have someone research the deeds and figure out how it got from the original claimant or owner up to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. All right. Are there any other questions out there? Okay, real quickly before we end, I'm just going to put back up any questions. This is the email address that you can use to email questions. We'll monitor that email account. I'll let you, if you want to, write that down. And then these are the phone numbers and email addresses. You can contact mine directly, Ryan's as well, and our phone numbers as well. Okay, so
hey, Mike,
yes.
Can I just ask one more quick question?
Certainly.
So for those water rights where the commentary indicates that the right is being used for an unauthorized use, if the individual or the owner has since brought their use back into compliance with the authorized use, would they need to do anything in that case?
No, not necessarily. We put that note on there to kind of serve as explanation of why we're recognizing uses that are different than what we found in our field review. And
got it. Okay.
That was a one-time snapshot of us going out there and looking at it. In some cases, that could have been 2 or 3 years ago. If they've since changed that, I guess it might be reason to object just to remove that, because the note could potentially be, maybe someone would use it for some, I mean, I can't think of a reason or a way, but there might be a reason or motivation to have that note removed if that unauthorized use comment is no longer true.
Okay.
It's really just like I say, an explanation of why we did what we did, and just for record keeping purposes.
Got it. Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Any last questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording, and then